Liam was an ugly, low-life loner on Earth who spent his days fapping to anime waifus and dreaming that maybe, just maybe, the hot girl next door might flash him one day. But life threw him a cheat card. He woke up as the fifth son of the noble Hamilton family in a medieval fantasy world. With zero status, but all the time in the world, this former shut-in starts mastering magic like his life depends on it. Because this time, he's not wasting his second chance. At first, things were normal. Or at least, they seemed that way. The girl looked at the boy with that playful smirk, like she had figured him out. She said something that felt half compliment, half roast, but still kind of charming. The boy couldn't tell if she was being kind or taking a jab, though she brushed it off like it was nothing and smoothly switched gears, asking if he wanted power. He was quick to nod, not thinking twice. When she asked if he wanted magic, real magic, his eyes practically lit up. But everything shifted after that. The boy, who was just casually drinking after finishing work, suddenly woke up somewhere completely unfamiliar. His head was spinning, the room didn't look like anything he remembered, and the mirror? That was the real shock. He was no longer himself. He was a kid now. Panic kicked in, but before he could process it, a man barged in, gave him a quick scolding, and mentioned something about being a Hamilton. That's when it started to click. He was now Liam, a noble's fifth child. And this wasn't some dream or hangover haze. As the days passed, Liam began to settle into his strange new life. A maid gave him a tour of the estate, proudly calling everything the property of the Hamilton family. Soon after, he met his older brother Bruno, who laid out the family drama like it was common knowledge. Their noble title was on the line, and unless someone in the family did something noteworthy, they'd be stripped of their status. It all felt heavy, but Liam was more interested in something else. A grimoire, a book of magic, had shown up. With a spark in his eyes, he gave spellcasting a shot, and to everyone's surprise, nailed it on his first try. That success lit a fire in him. Liam kept training day after day, and within a month, he was casting spells without even using the book. Bruno couldn't believe it, and even their usually indifferent father started to take notice. After showing off his fire magic, Liam got permission to use as many grimoires as he wanted, which felt like a huge win. Things really got wild when Liam ran into a mysterious man during one of his solo practice sessions. The man, calm and low-key powerful, showed him how to cast multiple spells at once, starting with 2, then 3. Liam gave it his all, and although he struggled a bit, he kept up surprisingly well. The man saw something special in him and handed him a ring, something like a magic library packed with the knowledge of 100 grimoires. From that moment on, Liam's skills exploded. He started casting stronger spells, learning faster than most grown mages, and even managed to summon a creature straight into the ring. But just as quickly as the man came into his life, he disappeared, leaving behind a message in the dirt to keep learning and stay quiet about everything. Another month went by, and Liam, now much more confident with his magic, began creating things like furnaces and crystals. When Bruno saw what his little brother had built, he looked proud for the first time and admitted he believed Liam would be just fine. Before leaving to marry a girl from a lesser noble family, Bruno shared his hopes for a quieter life. Liam smiled, knowing things were only just getting started for him. One afternoon, Bruno sat down with Liam and said something that stuck. He asked if Liam knew about their father's biggest mistake, and when Liam shook his head, Bruno gave him the whole truth. Their father had desperately wanted a daughter in Liam's place, hoping she could marry into the royal family and secure their noble status. But when Liam was born a boy, their father tried to do something else to prove himself. He sent thousands of Hamilton soldiers across the land to fight a terrifying monster that had been sealed away for years. It didn't go well. The soldiers lost. Most of them never came back, and though they did manage to seal the monster again, the damage was already done. Their forces were crippled, and the kingdom took note. Now, Bruno explained, both their father and eldest brother Albeit were doing everything they could to keep the family's noble title from slipping away. But Bruno, being honest, admitted he didn't see much hope left. He told Liam to stop relying on the family name and start focusing on earning his own freedom. That advice stuck with Liam, and soon after, he started taking action. He sold the charcoal and crystals he had produced with magic, made a bit of money, and told himself that this was only the beginning. If he wanted real freedom, he'd need more ways to earn. Later, while walking through town, Liam stopped at a noodle shop. As he watched the steaming bowls being served, an idea hit him. Back at home, he started experimenting and ended up creating instant noodles. Quick, simple, and surprisingly tasty. When he served them to the house servants, they were instantly hooked. Encouraged, Liam tried to pitch the noodles to a local restaurant. The owner loved the taste, but politely turned him down. Being the fifth son of the Hamilton family, Liam didn't have the right to do business without official permission, and only Albeit, the eldest, could approve such dealings. As Liam walked away, disheartened, someone stepped out from the shadows. It was Albeit himself. He admitted he had been watching and confirmed that he wouldn't allow Liam to start a business without the family's approval. But even after that cold rejection, Liam didn't let it break him. He just went back to work, quietly putting together a workaround. Liam tapped into his magic, using a storage spell that could hold large amounts of material. Then he tested something advanced, a summoning spell tied to sun magic. With some effort, he created a clone of himself. The spell worked perfectly, and he was thrilled. Now, the clone could travel far away, beyond his family's land, and sell the products freely. Whenever the clone made a sale, the money would be deposited into the storage spell, and Liam, sitting comfortably back home, would receive the payment directly. It was a clever setup, a full-on business plan built with magic. Liam would stay behind, keep crafting and producing goods, load them into the storage, and the clone would extract them on the other end, sell them, and drop the money back in. Without ever leaving the estate, Liam had created a secret, steady income stream, and with each sale, he took one more step toward the freedom he'd been dreaming of. Liam was busy practicing magic when he suddenly dismissed his clone, not wanting anyone to see it, especially since his eldest brother, El Bravet, had just arrived. El Bravet, always carrying the presence of someone who took things seriously, made a comment about how people had been praising Liam lately, mostly because his magic had improved so much. Liam immediately understood what was really going on. As the eldest son, El Bravet likely saw Liam as someone who might try to climb too high or even threaten his position one day. But Liam had no such plans. He told El Bravet that he simply wanted to live freely and maybe find a job so he could support himself without relying on the family name. Hearing this, El Bravet seemed satisfied and offered to send Liam to the Hunter Guild, hoping that would steer him in the right direction. Soon after, Liam arrived at the Hunter Guild where the Guildmaster greeted him. Since El Bravet had already spoken about him, there was no need for introductions. But the Guildmaster wanted to make sure Liam didn't take on a task that was too dangerous. So, he asked Liam to attack him using magic. Liam, knowing that his clone was still out selling goods elsewhere, couldn't go all out. But even with limited power, his spell left the Guildmaster shocked. Impressed, the man immediately gave Liam a B-rank license, which was no small thing for a newcomer. As Liam was about to leave, a girl named Asu Awez approached him and casually invited him to go hunting. While they walked, Asu explained that adventurers ranked B or below usually didn't get formal jobs from the guild, so they had to earn rewards by hunting monsters instead. During their first outing, they were suddenly surrounded by wolf-like beasts. Without wasting time, Liam summoned his magical creatures, and as soon as the wolves bit into them, the creatures began to puff up, trapping the wolves in place. Asu finished them off with ease, and they took the bodies back to the guild for rewards. Seeing their strength, the guildmaster gave them a special task, saying someone important was expected to pass through the area and a monster needed to be cleared beforehand. As they found the monster, they soon realized that none of their attacks were working, and after getting exhausted, Asu figured out that the monster could only be beaten by something heavy hitting its head. Liam used that clue well. He pulled out a massive rock from his item box using his storage spell and dropped it right on the creature's head, defeating it on the spot. They even found another monster nearby and finished it too, returning to the guild with 2 victories. The guildmaster was surprised by how fast they worked, and Liam casually mentioned he had used search magic to locate the second one. Later, when an important man arrived at the guild, El Bravet praised Liam and admitted that sending him to the guild had been the right call. This important man, named James Stanley, noticed something familiar about Liam, more specifically, the ring he wore. He brought Liam aside and asked about it, thinking Liam may have killed someone named Raymond to get it. Liam quickly cleared the air, saying that Raymond had been his teacher and gave him the ring before parting. After hearing the full story, Stanley believed him, and he asked Liam to show his magic power. Liam attacked with all his strength, breaking Stanley's magic shield and even knocking him to the ground. Impressed, Stanley offered Liam the title of knight, saying it would give him real freedom. Liam accepted gratefully, and then Stanley brought up an old prankster habit of Raymond's. Liam remembered finding a letter from Raymond in his item box, which led him to a pond that contained 100 kilos of golden powder. But the letter hinted that this was just a distraction. When Liam drained the pond using magic, a hidden path appeared, leading to a high-level grimoire and another letter, his true graduation gift. Excited, Liam spent all night studying the grimoire. By morning, he cast a new spell called Another World, which opened a portal to a space that acted like an item box, but much more. Not only could items be stored there, but people could enter too, though only with the caster's permission. Later, Liam and Asu used this magical space to escape from a powerful monster's attack, defeated it, and brought its magic stone back to the guild. The guild master was shocked, saying it had been an A-rank mission, and he hadn't expected them to complete it so easily. Asu, feeling a little left behind, admitted that she needed to grow stronger, or she'd lose sight of Liam. The guildmaster then suggested a familiar contract, which usually happened between humans and monsters, but could be done between people too. The only condition was that the familiar couldn't disobey the master. Asu didn't mind, trusting Liam completely, and they formed the bond. As soon as the contract was done, Asu gained a unique speed ability and even surprised the guildmaster. Wanting to learn more, Liam met a hunter named Jody, whom Asu introduced. Jody also became Liam's familiar, and to everyone's surprise, she became younger in appearance. Her unique skill allowed her to heal others through food, as she proved by handing a sandwich to an injured hunter who recovered immediately after eating. Meanwhile, Stanley had called Liam for another meeting. He told him that Princess Scarlet, the first princess of the kingdom, had taken an interest in him because of everything he'd achieved: powerful magic, A-rank missions, and talented familiars. But when asked to demonstrate his powers for the princess, Liam gently refused, saying his familiars were his friends, not tools for show. Stanley respected his choice, and as Liam walked away, the princess, who had been quietly listening as a disguised maid, watched him with curiosity, wondering if he'd be brave enough to say those same words to her face. Liam stepped down from the horse carriage, looking up at the huge mansion in front of him. The place was heavily guarded, and the moment felt serious. Right then, Princess Scarlet, the first princess of the kingdom, came into view. Liam saw her, and his eyes went wide. He hadn't expected to meet someone like her so suddenly. Soon after, he bowed politely and introduced himself, showing proper respect. A maid quietly brought over a chair for him, but the princess didn't waste any time. She got straight to the point, wanting to know how Liam had managed to defeat those dangerous monsters, the carnivorous caterpillars and the giant frog. While Liam explained, she listened with interest, and as he spoke, her expression began to change. She looked surprised, maybe even impressed, since defeating a giant frog without using high-level magic was something rare. That's when James spoke up and said the only good way to beat a giant frog was with powerful magic, which made Liam wonder quietly to himself what high-level magic even looked like. But before he could think too long, the princess suddenly said she wanted to meet his familiars. Liam didn't like how pushy that sounded. He didn't want to be treated like some tool, so instead of giving in, he calmly said that they weren't familiars, they were his friends. The princess stared at him for a second, then suddenly burst out laughing. It looked like she found his refusal amusing instead of rude. Not many people had the courage to say no to her. That alone seemed to win her over, and without waiting, she told him she was giving him the title of Baron. Liam was stunned. He didn't feel like he had done anything to deserve it. But to the princess, impressing her was reward-worthy, and right after that, she handed him a special grimoire. It would help him form a contract with his companions. Liam couldn't hide how happy he was. She noticed, and laughing again, pointed out that he liked the grimoire even more than the noble title. That evening, Liam sat by the water, flipping through the pages of the book, clearly hooked by the spells and diagrams. Just then, his older brother Bruno walked up, smiling. He made a joke about Liam now being a baron, saying his status had even passed their father's. Liam didn't know how to react and said it was just a simple title, but Bruno explained how their kingdom respected achievements done by one's own hands, not those inherited from family. He believed Liam would go even further than their father one day. Later that night, back at home, Liam saw his eldest brother Elbreed walk by without even looking at him. That cold silence told Liam all he needed to know. Elbreed was angry, maybe even jealous. It was hard to accept that his younger brother had just become a noble so quickly. The next day, Liam stood outside with Jody and Suna. Both girls looked stunning, and it was clear everyone nearby noticed. Now that Jody had become Liam's familiar, she started calling him Master, but he didn't like that. He asked her to just call him by name. Suna smiled and called him smart and reliable, which made a few onlookers turn green with envy. But Liam ignored the stares and brought up the idea of forming a party together. Without hesitation, both girls refused the idea with loud voices, but they were clearly joking. They all laughed and shook hands, officially forming a party. Later in the forest, a wolf came charging at Liam, but before it got close, Jody shot an arrow straight through its head. At the same time, Suna moved fast, slicing through another wolf with ease. Liam watched in awe, commenting that Suna had gotten even faster. Jody looked focused, her grip on the bow firm. Her eyesight had clearly improved. Liam got an idea. He used magic on Jody, and her eyes lit up with a soft blue glow. Her vision became sharper than ever before. She looked through the trees and quietly said she could now see far into the distance. She spotted a rabbit family hiding in the bushes. Liam smiled to himself. His spell had worked just as planned. Suna, seeing this, excitedly asked him to use the spell on her too, but Liam shook his head and explained gently that while it could boost her speed, it would also put too much pressure on her body. He did say he could still enhance her vision though. Suna seemed a little let down, but she appreciated his concern. Jody then proved just how useful her enhanced vision was. She shot another wolf from far away, her aim perfect. Liam watched her, clearly impressed. Jody looked at him with a smile and thanked him. Suna also smiled and agreed, and Liam, flustered, tried to hide his reaction. That evening, when they got back to the guild, they found chaos. People were panicking, running around, shouting warnings. When they asked what had happened, they were told that the eldest son of the Hamilton family had caused it. Liam froze. That was his own brother, Elbreed. He rushed out to find him. In the forest, soldiers lay everywhere, wounded and in pain. Liam arrived with his party and saw Elbreed on the ground, bleeding heavily. Elbreed grabbed Liam's hand and with a weak voice said he couldn't afford to lose here. But just then, the guildmaster appeared. Without warning, he hit Elbreed on the head with a staff. People rushed forward to carry Elbreed away for treatment. The others looked at the guildmaster, shocked and confused. He took a breath and explained that deep in these forests, there was a dragon named Feed Reedon. Long ago, Liam's great-grandfather had sealed it using his power. Liam could feel himself shake. That dragon must have been terrifying, but it wasn't over yet. The guildmaster said they were ready to seal the dragon again, but something was interfering. It was the dragon's children. Liam felt his thoughts go blank. If just the offspring were a problem, then the actual dragon must be on another level entirely. The guildmaster explained that the dragon had been sealed for a long time, but now it would regain full strength in 1 week. They had to stop that from happening. Already the dragon's children were attacking soldiers, throwing them like toys. There were only 3 of them, yet they had caused destruction everywhere. If these tiny beasts could do so much, the real Feed Reedon had to be beyond terrifying. Liam and his team finally reached the spot and were stunned. The dragonlings weren't large. They were the size of dogs. Still, they had wrecked everything. Suna got furious. She shouted angrily and rushed forward. One of the dragonlings breathed fire. It wasn't normal fire. It was so hot that the ground beneath started melting. Suna froze. Before she could react, Liam stepped forward and launched his 7 magic missile spell. The projectiles flew with incredible speed, lighting up the battlefield, then opened his another world portal and sent the beasts packing. When asked, he admitted the spell didn't last long. Anything tossed in vanished soon after. Nobody was crying about that. Then came the real mind trip. Radon's voice slammed into Liam's head, calling him small human, and commenting on how heavy his soul was, like he could smell something off. The dragon said his body and soul didn't match. Liam wondered if it had clocked that he was actually an adult in a kid's body. Radon had no clue why, it just knew something wasn't right. Liam started wondering if the dragon could actually read his mind. That's when Radon dropped the real kicker, calling Liam's life interesting and asking to tag along like some cosmic hitchhiker. Claimed he wouldn't hurt anyone, even promised to help. Liam agreed, figuring the guy's vibes didn't scream, "I'm about to torch your life." Next thing he knew, Radon slid right into his body like it was a damn Airbnb. The guildmaster nearly had a heart attack watching it happen, yelling about Liam swallowing a demonic dragon whole. With Radon inside, Liam could suddenly juggle 17 spells at once, crisp and clean, no misfires. His magic pool now felt bottomless. Problem was, the raw power leaking out of him had nearby mages gasping like they'd been sucker punched. Radon told him to rein it in, and once he did, the air cleared. Only Jody and Asuna looked unbothered, probably because they were his familiars. The guildmaster thanked him, but Liam couldn't shake the guilt. Albrevitt's little "I'll prove I'm better" stunt had caused the whole mess. To patch things up, Liam dropped 10 kilos of gold for the injured, earning more thanks and even the thought that he'd make a better Hamilton head than Albrevitt. Back home, his father thanked him for cleaning up the dragon fiasco and confirmed Albrevitt was now on house arrest. Next morning, Liam woke up feeling like he'd been running magic drills all night. His ring was packing new spells, so he slipped out to test them. First try brought out Radon Jr., the great dragon's kid. Before he could brag, Princess Scarlet Sherry Jamil showed up and nearly choked on her surprise that a human could pull holy magic. He cut the summoning short, asked why she was there, and got the royal "thanks for killing the dragon" speech. Later, she handed him 3,000 gold. Maids were losing it, but Liam clocked it as hush money. Mr. James stood with his arms crossed, watching Liam with curious eyes, and although Liam stayed quiet at first, it was clear he was holding something back. He thought about what the princess had said, not to tell anyone, and for a moment, he hesitated. But Mr. James already had his answer, because the reports said it clearly. The dragon feed's huge body had turned into light and merged into Liam. It didn't make sense to keep secrets anymore, so Liam finally nodded and admitted he had learned a few new holy spells. Mr. James didn't waste time and simply asked him to show it. Liam raised his hand and cast a spell called All Clear, which gently glowed and could heal every illness from head to toe. The room felt brighter, almost peaceful, and Mr. James was left speechless. He then began to explain something strange, something from an old legend. A long time ago, 3 dragons fought a brutal battle, and one of them came out on top. But it wasn't just strength that won that fight. It was holy magic. That same dragon later helped a human, and together they founded the very kingdom everyone lived in now. Liam didn't really get why this story mattered so much, but Mr. James seemed to be connecting the dots. He looked at Liam, eyes sharp, and pointed out the obvious, that Liam had merged with a dragon too. The dragon feed, Reedon, had become a part of him, and now they were one and the same. Mr. James turned serious as he said history might be repeating itself, and if that was true, then there were going to be problems. The first issue was Liam's family. The Hamiltons had gained their noble title because they sealed away the dragon feed, but if the old stories were right, then that glory wasn't theirs to begin with. If the truth came out, the whole family's position could crumble. Liam felt his chest tighten, thinking about his father and older brother, both of whom worked so hard to protect their status. Everything they had built could be lost in a moment. But even more worrying than that was the dragon himself. What if he wanted revenge? He had been locked away for hundreds of years. But when Liam first met Reedon and called him Dragon Feed, the dragon had just scoffed and said humans always changed names over time, and he didn't care anymore. That short reply made one thing clear. Reedon wasn't angry, not even a little. Mr. James finally relaxed and said something that would stay with Liam for a long time, that Liam might be the true savior of the kingdom, and no one even realized it yet. Later, Liam walked home with his thoughts spinning like a storm. His new magic spells, his connection to Reedon, the legacy of his family. It was a lot to handle, but there was no time to slow down. The next morning, Liam arrived at the guild, where Jody and Asna were already waiting for him. As soon as they saw him, they grabbed his arm and pulled him aside. The guild hall was packed, more than usual, and the noise from all the adventurers filled the air. Jody handed him a scroll full of names. Word had spread that Liam defeated a dragon, and now everyone wanted to join his party. Asna chuckled and nudged him, saying he was the party leader now, so every decision rested on his shoulders. Later that evening, when Liam got back home, Mare handed him a tall stack of papers. They were wedding invitations, so many that they barely fit on the table. Then Bruno came in, holding a letter in his hand. He said it came from a relative of his wife, and they wanted Liam to marry their only daughter. Bruno gave him a hard look, clearly serious, and asked him what exactly he had done to attract so much attention, because even high-ranking nobles didn't get this many marriage offers. Liam just sighed and thought to himself that things had gotten out of hand. Somehow, he'd become the most popular man in the kingdom. Not long after that, Liam went into the forest with Jody and Asna. Once they reached the spot, he activated a spell called Inner World, and a glowing portal opened in the air. All 3 of them stepped through it together. Inside, there was a fully built house, strong, beautiful, and peaceful, constructed by a carpenter from town. Liam had arranged everything. Asna looked around and pointed out how last time, everything disappeared when the spell ended. Liam smiled and said things had changed. He had now mastered the spell completely. They explored the house together, laughing and joking along the way. But when they reached the bedroom, Jody suddenly stopped and looked around. She mentioned something about the place having eternal light, meaning it never turned into night here. To fix that, Liam summoned a low-level shade spirit, which immediately filled the room with complete darkness, so thick that they couldn't even see their own hands. It was too much. Liam had to summon Salamander, a fire spirit, to light up the space again. Jody flinched and told him it was too dark, and that's when they realized the shade spirit couldn't control how dark it made things. Asna casually said she wished spirits could grow and learn like humans. Liam paused for a second, and then got an idea. He used contract magic and formed a magical bond with the shade spirit. The moment the contract was sealed, the spirit evolved, growing in size and gaining the power to speak. It became a mid-level spirit. Now it could adjust the darkness properly, making the room feel like a cozy nighttime space. The spirit looked at the ring on Liam's finger and asked if it was a storage device. Liam replied that it was a magicpedia. Hearing that, the spirit told him he could store mid-level spirit spells in the ring. Liam gave it a shot and something strange happened. The shade spirit transformed again and merged directly with the ring, becoming a part of it. Excited, Liam repeated the process with Salamander, turning it into a mid-level spirit and storing it in the ring as well. One by one, he upgraded all the low-level spirits using contract magic, locking their powers into his Magicpedia. Jody mentioned that mid-level Sunny Growmores were as valuable as treasures held by noble families. Hearing that, Liam's eyes lit up. He was ready to master this spell completely and take things to the next level. The next morning, Liam followed Reedon's instructions and headed into the deeper part of the forest, somewhere way off the usual path. Redden had said this was where he'd been stuck for years, and sure enough, the place gave off a weird, quiet energy. As Liam stepped through the trees, Redden's voice slipped into his head again, saying it was time to summon his child. Liam took a deep breath and focused. He'd been practicing this mid-tier sunny spell like his life depended on it. Time to see if it worked. A quick chant later, sunlight flared, and boom, Raiden Jr. appeared. The moment the little guy popped out, something shifted. It was like reality took off its mask. Liam blinked and suddenly noticed dozens of tiny fairies hiding behind leaves and tree trunks. They were small, glowing, and clearly startled when they realized Liam could see them now. Most of them scattered like kids caught sneaking snacks before dinner. Liam raised both hands and tried to calm them down. He said he wasn't here to hurt anyone, that Raiden himself had sent him. Then he showed them Raiden Jr., who just floated there looking smug, and a few of the fairies slowly came back for a closer look. Liam explained that Raiden had asked him to protect them. Apparently, humans had a nasty habit of hunting fairies to make magical gear, and Raiden was done with that crap. As Liam spoke, Raiden's voice added that he'd need to use contract magic and give each fairy a name. Liam nodded. He turned to the first fairy, muttered the spell, and gave her the name Rena. What happened next was wild. She glowed bright, her body stretched out, and suddenly she wasn't a fairy anymore. She was a full-on elf. Raiden said it was Liam's magic doing the trick. These fairies could evolve when given names under a contract, and Liam's magic had enough juice to make it happen. So Liam kept going. One by one, he named them all, and each time, a fairy transformed into an elf. When it was over, the girls all stood around him, looking thankful, but also kind of stunned. Rena stepped forward and said that they were now his familiars. She asked what he wanted them to do. Liam shrugged and said maybe they could build a village right here, and Rena could lead it. The girls lit up like festival lights. Plans were flying left and right. Tree houses, rope bridges, cozy huts, they were ready to build the whole damn neighborhood. But just as Liam was starting to relax, he felt something strange. A magical pulse came from deeper in the woods. He followed it and soon reached a massive ancient tree with a glowing fruit hanging from its branches. It pulsed like it had a heartbeat. Rena showed up and told him it was called pixies, a fruit that sucked magic from the air and stored it. Liam asked if he could eat it. Rena said sure, what belonged to them now belonged to him too. So he took a bite. Tasted sweet at first, but then his body felt like it had plugged into a lightning storm. His magic overflowed, and before he could even think, he accidentally cast a spell. 19 magic missiles shot out at once, zipping through the air like angry bees. Liam stared at his hands, low-key freaking out. The fruit was no joke. The next day, he came back to check on the girls. They'd started calling him Master Liam, which was super awkward, but he didn't correct them. What did stop him in his tracks was the houses they'd built, if you could even call them that. Most looked like they were one gust of wind away from total collapse. One was literally upside down. He tried to keep a straight face, but told them they'd need to rebuild, properly this time. Before anything could get fixed, chaos hit. A scream rang out. Liam turned just in time to see some sleazy men grab Susie, one of the elf girls, and try to drag her away. Liam yelled her name and ran. One guy came at him with a blade, but Liam wasn't playing around. He launched a magic missile straight into the dude's chest. The other two didn't back off, so Liam summoned a copy of himself using contract magic. Now there were two of him, and they beat the crap out of the kidnappers. After the fight, Susie was safe, but clearly shaken. Liam realized it wasn't going to be this simple. These girls were targets now, so he used Inner World, a spell Raiden had taught him, to tuck them away in a safe pocket dimension. At first, he worried it'd be too small, but inside, the space was massive. Raiden explained that the inner world grew along with Liam's power. He moved the portal closer to his home, so the girls could come and go safely. When they stepped through and saw the peaceful space, they relaxed. Then they all turned to him, bowed, and asked him to be their king. Liam scratched his head and said, "Nah, not king, just their leader." That felt less weird. Later that evening, he made them a simple noodle dish. Nothing fancy, but they loved it. They all sat around, laughing and chatting, while Liam quietly watched, already thinking about how to build them a real home. That night, he got back to training. Raiden had given him some serious holy magic, and Liam was determined to master it. For the next 4 days, he trained like a man possessed, eating quick meals, practicing spells, and pushing his limits. Something big was coming. He could feel it. After gaining control of the spell, Liam gradually became confident enough to use it for something bigger, relocating the girls to a safer place. Once everyone had gathered, he activated the spell and successfully transported them nearly 100 kilometers away to a barren stretch of land known as the Sealed Lands. He arrived moments after his own illusion, which had been sent ahead. As soon as he landed, he dismissed the illusion. It had served its purpose. Thanks to his new holy magic, Liam was now able to project his illusions anywhere and even teleport to them himself. That realization lifted his his spirits. But before they could explore, the space in front of them cracked like a mirror. Through it, they glimpsed a completely different view. The land had been sealed by Randon, though he hadn't offered any clear reason. Liam took a breath and told the girls this would be their new home. It was time to start fresh, and this land would serve them well. The first issue became obvious right away. There was no water, not a drop in sight. To fix that, Liam summoned a low-tier spirit named Vinan and immediately used contract magic to evolve her into a mid-tier spirit. Once the contract was complete, she created a river with her magic, letting it cut through the dry earth like a silver ribbon. With that, the land was ready for life. Liam felt satisfied. This was where their new village would stand. He stayed busy practicing his magic while overseeing the early construction. To speed things up, he summoned the 3 children of Randon to assist with building and protecting the settlement. His teleportation spells also improved. They were now near instant. Eventually, he had to leave the girls under the care of Randon's children. The princess had summoned him to the capital. When he arrived, she asked him whether the dragon seed inside him had ever mentioned the promised land. Liam told her it hadn't, but it did refer to the sealed land, where he was already working with elves to build a village, following Randon's guidance. The princess expressed interest in visiting the site. Liam agreed to take her, but only if she accepted one condition. She brought in royal engineer Golek. Liam wanted to place a spell on Golek and asked if it would be safe. The princess reassured him. With her approval, Liam cast his magic and created a duplicate of the engineer, an extra pair of hands for the village construction. After that, the 3 of them, Liam, the princess, and Golek, headed for the sealed lands. Golek seemed disoriented the entire way, clearly unsure what he'd been pulled into. Upon arrival, the princess scanned the surroundings. Something seemed off. She mentioned wanting to speak with Lord Randon. She suspected he might have made some kind of promise to humanity long ago, and this place didn't match the stories she knew. She went on to explain a prophecy from the distant past. It spoke of humanity's final hour, when a savior would descend from the sky and lead the people to salvation. Most had dismissed it as a myth, but she believed there was truth behind it, truth that could only be uncovered by reaching the promised land. She pulled out a ring, an ancient relic passed down through her royal bloodline. It was called the Keep of Destiny. Liam asked to examine it, and she allowed him. The moment his hand touched the ring, the earth began to shake. Cracks spread across the ground, and without warning, the entire sealed land started rising into the sky. The movement was slow, steady, but undeniable. Eventually, the land settled again, this time higher than before. The princess looked around in awe. She seemed certain now. This was the promised land, and the ring had confirmed it. She turned to Liam and declared him its master. Her voice carried no hesitation when she asked him to build a new kingdom here, a place of peace and hope, a paradise the world had never known. Liam stood frozen, overwhelmed by the weight of her words. In his heart, one clear question lingered. Was he really meant to build an entire kingdom from nothing? The work of building the village in the promised land was going on non-stop, with everyone putting in their full effort. While far from there, Liam kept firing magic missiles at a monster without slowing down. He stayed focused, and after thinking about the idols from his own world, he cast Holy Arrow, which ended the monster in one clean shot. It became obvious that Liam was clearing the area of monsters one by one, making it safe for others. Around that time, Scarlet showed up, impressed by what she saw, and gave Liam a few words of praise. Liam looked at her and suggested that maybe she should return to the royal capital now, but Scarlet, staying firm, reminded him that he should just call her by name since she now considered herself his servant. Liam didn't know what to say at first, since it was strange for a royal princess to suddenly offer to serve someone like him. Scarlet then explained that her mother's side of the family carried dragon blood, and in their tradition, any daughter born had to marry into the royal family. But because that dragon blood also flowed through her, she had made a different choice. She wanted to follow and serve the great dragon god instead. Just as she said that, Radin showed up and said something to Liam, who then turned to Scarlet and told her that Radin had something to show her. Without wasting time, Liam led her to a different spot, where they discovered a hidden door, and when they entered, an enormous dragon made entirely of iron appeared before them, lifeless and still for now. Then, without warning, the Iron Dragon suddenly woke up. Radin looked at Liam and explained that this was his first real challenge. He had to defeat the Black Dragon, which had been created using Radin himself as the model. Liam stared at the dragon and noticed that its head had some ancient writing, and there, Radin's name was written. Radin calmly told him that if Liam erased just one letter, the name's meaning would change to something like obedient. Without hesitating, Liam vanished using magic, and in the blink of an eye, appeared right in front of the Iron Dragon, aiming directly at its head. He used Holy Arrow again, and the blast hit exactly where it should, erasing the letter. The dragon's behavior changed right away. It calmed down and became tame. Scarlet watched this with wide eyes, shocked that the powerful beast had been subdued so easily. And when she stepped closer, she realized she could touch the dragon too, because her own dragon blood allowed it. Since the dragon's wound hadn't healed, Scarlet chose to stay back with it while Liam prepared to return alone. As he stepped outside, his mind kept circling back to the same thought. How could a royal princess suddenly become his servant? But his thoughts didn't last long, because smoke was rising in the distance, and it was coming from the direction of the village. Without thinking twice, he teleported there immediately. When he arrived, the sight shook him. The entire village had been wrecked. Rena ran up to him in a panic and told him that they'd been attacked out of nowhere by wolfmen. One of them came charging at Liam, but he dodged quickly. Rena and Susie hid behind him, trembling, since many more wolfmen had surrounded the area. Then, their leader stepped forward, growling as he warned the humans to leave the sacred land or deal with the consequences. Without wasting any time, he lunged at Liam, but Liam teleported behind him and struck with lightning. The leader stayed calm, though, clearly not someone who'd go down easy. Liam didn't waste energy arguing. He called for Reedon Jr., summoning him with a flash. Seeing Reedon, the wolfmen froze, because they had worshipped him for generations and had always lived in this land, defending it from any outsiders. Liam simply told them they were also here following Reedon's will. The leader stepped back, clearly shaken, realizing they might have made a big mistake. Rena then suggested something unexpected. Why not form a contract with Liam? Though Liam was still trying to make sense of everything, he agreed, since these people respected Reedon. Using contract magic, Liam gave the leader a new name, Chris. And just like that, the wolfman transformed into a girl. And not just any girl, a ridiculously cute one, which caught Liam completely off guard. Later, Liam entered his inner world and got some proper sleep. The next morning, he returned to the village, where construction had picked up pace again, and surprisingly, the wolfmen were now helping too. As soon as Chris saw Liam, she ran straight into him, full of energy. Liam was caught off guard, but Chris happily told him that everyone was working hard to fix what they had broken earlier. She apologized for the past, and Liam, with a light smile, told her it was all right since they were helping now. Chris beamed with joy, and then Liam noticed a broken wall nearby. He quietly thought to himself how nice it would be to have a spell that could repair things like this. At that moment, Reedon's voice echoed inside him, suggesting that if he didn't have such a spell, maybe he should create one himself. Reedon explained that it was possible to invent new magic if one could clearly imagine what they wanted and stay focused. Liam gave it a serious thought, pictured broken pieces coming back together, and suddenly, a piece of wood reattached itself. Excited, he tried a spell and named it Keep Memory. He showed Chris, asking her to break the wood again, and the moment she did, the wood fixed itself in an instant. Liam explained that this new spell brought things back to how they were when the spell was first cast. Chris was amazed and hugged him, full of excitement. Now that Liam had figured out how to create new spells, he moved to another spot and tested one called Missile. It turned out much stronger than the usual magic missile. Reedon then spoke with a serious tone, saying Liam needed to understand the world better, and for that, he would need a kingdom of his own. Liam stood there quietly, thinking deeply. He wondered how the first person who created magic ever built their kingdom, and whether there was a way to create magic without being tied to the usual rules of cause and effect. While he was lost in thought, Rena came running, bringing urgent news. Some humans had entered the forest and were trying to steal the pixie's fruit. Liam didn't hesitate. He rushed over to the scene, and when he got there, he found soldiers poking around for the fruit. One of them noticed Liam and asked who he was. Liam's old memories came rushing back. He looked at them calmly, took a breath, and said that this was his kingdom now. The soldiers laughed, thinking he was joking, and tried to push forward. But right then, a glowing magic missile hit the ground in front of them. Their smiles vanished and they braced themselves. Liam warned them once, telling them clearly that this land was now his. When one soldier charged at him, Liam teleported behind him and knocked him off his horse. He didn't stop there. He used the same move on the rest of them, dropping each one to the ground. The soldiers finally realized they had no chance. Liam, still cold and calm, told them never to return. Then he walked back to the village, where Rena was already waiting. She asked if he had dealt with them, and Liam nodded with a small smile, saying he'd explained everything just fine. Then Rena introduced him to the forest fairies. Liam quickly understood what the soldiers had been after and decided to protect the fairies by giving them names. But before he could even start properly, dozens of fairies swarmed in from all directions. He got nervous, but he still went ahead and used contract magic one by one. Time flew, and soon it was evening. By then, Liam had already named around 100 fairies, and each one of them had transformed into elves. The next morning, the village felt like a new place. Fresh designs for houses had been made, everything looked advanced, and even the black dragon was nearby, quietly resting. Some of the village girls were peeking at it from behind walls, as if watching something legendary. Meanwhile, Liam was in his world dimension, showing everyone the soldier masks. Scarlet recognized them immediately. She said they belonged to a kingdom called the Principle of Palta, and like the kingdoms Jamil and Quistedder, they were also aiming to take control of the Promised Land. Scarlet spoke in a serious tone, saying she believed that soldiers from Jamil and Quistedder would also arrive soon, trying to take over the land just like everyone else. Liam listened quietly as Scarlet explained how the Promised Land was located right between the three kingdoms, which made it a place everyone wanted to control. She spoke with confidence, telling Liam she still believed he should build his kingdom right there. She calmly explained that a kingdom needed only three things: land, people, and strength. Since Liam already had land, and more people would come once word spread, all that was left was to gain enough military power. Chris, full of energy, said they would crush anyone who tried to cause trouble. Liam gave a small smile and told her that wolfmen like her were excellent in battle, so he would leave that job to them. Scarlet agreed and said that anyone who tried to invade the kingdom should be pushed back, and over time the rest would stop fighting and choose to become allies, since there would be no benefit in going against them. But the very next day, something unexpected happened. Two well-known nobles from the kingdom of Jamil, Marks Burke and Leonard Berkeley, suddenly arrived at Liam's village. Leonard, keeping a calm face, explained that their king, Lorenzo II, had sent him to speak with Liam. Liam stayed quiet and listened. Leonard then shared the reason for his visit. The king didn't want war. Instead, he wished to offer an alliance. Then came the surprising part. Leonard said that if Liam accepted the offer, he would also marry the first princess, Scarlet. Liam was stunned. He couldn't understand why they thought he was important enough to deserve such a proposal. But then, a memory came back to him, something Mr. James had said earlier, and he realized that the king probably believed this land was blessed by the dragon god Redon, especially since Princess Scarlet had visited several times. Liam looked at Leonard and asked if he had ever seen Scarlet before. Leonard calmly said he had seen her many times. That's when Liam understood. Leonard knew Scarlet was standing right there, yet still spoke about marrying her off to Liam. Clearly, something deeper was going on, and Liam needed time to think. He knew he had to speak with Scarlet first, so right then, he created a new magic spell called telepathy. Using it, he spoke to her silently, asking what she thought. Scarlet responded without hesitation, saying it was a good idea and would buy them some time, so Liam gave his answer. He said he was willing to marry the princess, but he needed 1 year since the kingdom wasn't ready yet. Leonard accepted this and promised to report back to the king. After that, he and his men left. Liam felt relieved. He had gained some breathing room. While work in the village continued like usual, Liam and his illusion suddenly vanished using telepathy, arriving at Scarlet's mansion in the royal capital. It was easy because Liam had previously sent his illusion along with Scarlet, marking the path. Once the task was done, the illusion disappeared. Scarlet welcomed him warmly, calling him to her home. Liam wanted to explore the capital, but Scarlet reminded him that now he was a king from another land, so he had to stay hidden. She then invited him inside for tea. While they talked, Liam sensed something strange. He could feel Raidon's energy nearby. Scarlet led him to a statue of Raidon, which had been passed down through her mother's family for generations. Raidon spoke inside Liam's mind, telling him to use a spell called El Clear on the statue. As soon as Liam cast it, the statue started glowing and fused with Scarlet, forming a golden armor. Liam stood still, unsure of what had just happened. Scarlet quickly used Holy Arrow to control the power, though the spell drained all her energy. After a short while, the armor faded, returning to its original statue form. They discovered the truth. The statue was actually battle armor, crafted long ago using Raidon's magic. Anyone wearing it would gain a huge boost in magic power. That's how Scarlet had been able to use powerful holy magic in the past, though it always left her exhausted afterward. This particular armor was a top-tier golden one, while the lower-ranked versions had all been destroyed long ago. Liam wanted to know how such armor could be made. Raidon explained that the process required high mithril. When Liam passed that information to Scarlet, she told him she would handle that part and just needed some time. Meanwhile, Liam started creating new battle armor with the help of his spirits. Eventually, he completed a small one. Scarlet needed to bond with it, so she dropped a bit of her blood on the armor. It instantly merged with her body. With holy magic, she summoned a bow and armband. When she fired her magic, the attack sliced through trees, but this time, she didn't collapse from exhaustion. Raidon told Liam that high-level magic items were almost like living beings. Hearing this, Liam used contract magic and gave the armor a name, Peyton of Battle Eris. As soon as the contract was sealed, the armor's power increased, and Scarlet felt much stronger than before. She used holy magic again, and this time, took down multiple trees with just one move. Then Raidon shared something personal. He had once tried to use contract magic too, but it never worked. Liam asked what he had tried it on. Reedon revealed the answer. It was on Guardian Reedon, the Black Dragon Reedon. In truth, the Black Dragon wasn't just a creature, it was also a type of battle armor Reedon had built for himself. After hearing that, Liam wanted to try it too. He approached the Black Dragon and dropped his blood on it. Instantly, the dragon glowed and fused with Liam, forming an incredibly strong armor over his body. As the armor settled in, Liam felt a powerful wave of energy rushing through him. He tested the strength by firing several power missiles in a row. The spell was fast and destructive, but using that much magic quickly drained him. The armor couldn't stay active and reverted back into the black dragon form. Scarlet rushed to him, worried about his condition, but Liam smiled, saying he was all right. Just a little out of energy. Reedon spoke again, this time in a serious voice. He said Liam was only the third person ever to wear that armor and survive. Not just that, he was the first human to cast a spell while wearing it. Reedon added that if Liam learned to fully master this armor, he could one day conquer the entire world. Liam started the day by wearing the Guardian Reedon armor, but after using it for a while, he felt drained since it used up a lot of his magical energy, so he put it away inside his item box without any trouble. Though the armor seemed alive, it was just high-level battle gear. After resting a bit, Liam decided to return to the village, while Scarlet got ready to head back to the royal capital, where she planned to keep an eye on the political situation. Back in the village, things were moving fast. Golak was guiding the villagers on their tasks, and the place was starting to come together nicely. Liam felt good seeing how quickly everything was improving. But then, Rena ran up to him, looking serious, and told him that Chris had spotted some trolls nearby. These weren't the friendly kind, these trolls were dangerous, and some humans had been sighted near them too. She suggested that maybe they could still be convinced to join the group before things got messy. Liam got the location from her and went out to check for himself. He entered a dry, empty valley and noticed a strange stone on the ground. Out of curiosity, he picked it up, broke it open, and saw raw iron ore inside. But while he was examining it, he sensed something behind him. Turning around, he saw a group of tall trolls. These were definitely the ones Rena had warned about. Without reacting aggressively, Liam tried to speak with them and explain that he was building a new kingdom and wanted them to be part of it. But the troll leader didn't care. He instantly got mad and shouted for Liam to leave or die. The leader attacked hard, and Liam found himself in real danger. As he dodged, his foot got stuck in a crack, and the troll leader grinned, clearly confident in his power and speed. The leader hit Liam with full force, using a massive weapon. But when the dust cleared, Liam stood up wearing the Guardian Reedon armor, completely unharmed. The armor had taken the full impact. Liam then quickly put the armor away again, trying not to escalate the situation. But now, the troll leader was furious and called for his companions to attack. Right at that moment, the leader noticed something strange. He had accidentally hurt his own allies. Liam had used clever magic to create multiple duplicates of himself, and these duplicates had shielded the other trolls from their leader's wild attacks. The leader, realizing what just happened, stopped and looked at Liam again, now seeing him differently. He paused, surprised, and said he was willing to listen. Liam explained that his kingdom was still growing, but elves and werewolves had already joined him, and he wanted the trolls to be part of it too. He added that even if everything seemed peaceful now, other humans might come later and treat the trolls like enemies, and he didn't want that to happen. Hearing this, the leader went quiet and thought for a while. Then he asked to see the village. Using magic, Liam brought the trolls to the village instantly. The leader was stunned by the sudden shift from barren land to a living, breathing village. Chris saw him and reacted instantly, running up and kicking him hard to the ground. It turned out that Chris and the troll leader already knew each other, and they had a long history of fighting. Chris claimed to have beaten him 37 times, though she admitted he'd beaten her way more. She teased him, calling him weak, but Liam smiled and said she had just grown stronger since becoming his familiar. Chris grinned and agreed, proudly stating how powerful she had become. She then told the troll leader that, by their usual rule, the loser had to follow the winner, and since she beat him, he had to make a contract with Liam too. The leader looked unsure, but eventually he agreed. Liam named him Guy, and right after the contract, Guy's appearance changed. He became shorter and looked more human. Liam sighed in relief, happy that the transformation wasn't anything weird. Though Guy's size shrank, his power increased significantly. When Chris tried to mess with him again, he stopped her attack with just one hand. They began sparring, showing off their strength and friendship, and the villagers gathered around, amazed by the high-level battle. The trolls watching cheered, saying their boss had now become a legendary Giga. Liam realized that once trolls form a familiar contract, they evolve into a stronger species called Giga. Seeing how well everything was going, he smiled and began giving names to the other trolls too, forming contracts with each one. Later, the newly evolved Giga trolls helped carry massive stones from the valley to the village. As they worked, Guy noticed Chris struggling with one of the heavy rocks. He walked over, teased her lightly, but she ignored him and kept trying. The stone slipped and started to fall toward her, but Guy rushed in to save her. In a surprising twist, Chris actually lifted the rock off him, asking if he was okay, and then ran off with a smug grin, leaving Guy standing there, slightly surprised but also smiling. The village had come a long way. Houses were rising fast, and with the help of the Giga trolls, Liam had gathered a large number of heavy stones. He told the trolls that the stones had metal hidden inside, and he planned to extract it. They listened carefully and agreed to help with excitement. To start the process, Liam called on his two spirits. Genome created a giant clay pot, and Salamander lit it on fire. With their combined effort, the metal started separating from the stones. After everything was done, Liam was thrilled to find not just regular metals, but also a small amount of high mithril. Raiden explained how rare and valuable high mithril was, especially for creating magical battle armor. Liam became hopeful, thinking there might be even more buried in the valley. But he also knew that without mithril, making magical armor was nearly impossible. He decided to try different metal combinations to figure out where things were going wrong. Raiden smiled, reminding him that failure didn't mean the end, it just meant the victory hadn't happened yet. This gave Liam a boost of confidence. He remembered how tough learning magic had been, and this felt the same. Next, he asked Genome to build a strange box. Pouring molten iron into it, he began to fuse it with Raiden's magical energy. While doing this, he recalled how Scarlet's battle armor had changed when given a name, so he named his new creation Apollo. As the process finished, the box cracked open, and a new kind of magical armor appeared. Liam realized that names had power. Just like with his familiars, a good name could change everything. And now, with just iron and some clever ideas, he had created his very first magical battle armor. Raiden looked at the result and gave him a proud smile. As the sun dipped down and the sky grew darker, Liam felt a bit let down since he still wanted to make more magical battle armor, but he couldn't reuse the same name again, which was a little frustrating. Still, he didn't waste time sulking and instead got right back to work. Using his sharp mind and magical skills, he created 15 new sets of magical battle armor. He gave them out to different familiars. Some went to the elves, others to the werewolves, and a few to the Gigas, making sure each group had what they needed to be stronger. Soon after that, a heated fight kicked off between Guy and Chris. Chris landed punch after punch on Guy, but nothing worked. Guy didn't even flinch, since the magical armor was absorbing all the hits like it was nothing. Liam watched them go at it and felt pretty satisfied, thinking they might actually make a strong team, especially if they kept training together like this. Everything seemed under control, but then a weird sound interrupted the moment. A group of humans showed up, riding on horseback, and when they saw the elves, their eyes widened. They looked impressed, especially by the women, and said it had taken a lot of effort to find this hidden place. Their leader stepped forward, trying to keep things smooth, and told his men to behave properly so things wouldn't get out of hand. Before Liam could react, Rena stepped in. She called over another elf, Mina, and quietly whispered something to her. Mina listened carefully, then walked straight toward the group of humans. Without a word, she punched the boss in the face so hard that he went flying across the field. The rest of the humans immediately drew their weapons, but Mina didn't back down. With her sharp reflexes and combat skills, she took down every one of them all by herself, and not a single one managed to land a blow on her. Guy, watching all this, looked impressed, while Chris smirked, thinking those humans were way too weak. Liam couldn't help but feel proud, knowing that the elf girls who once needed protection were now strong enough to protect others, all thanks to the magical armor they now wore. But things weren't quite over yet. The boss, who had been hiding, suddenly appeared behind Liam, holding a knife to his neck. He made threats, warning everyone not to move, or Liam would die. But nobody seemed worried, because they all knew exactly who Liam was, and what he could do. In the blink of an eye, Liam used his power missile spell and blasted the man so far he probably forgot his own name. Everyone around cheered for Liam, calling him their unbeatable master, and the rest of the intruders, now terrified, ran away without even looking back. After that, Liam shifted into a different space, entering a special area inside his own inner world. There, he used his magic to summon as many water spirits, also known as Celesis, as he could. Once they appeared, he gave them a task. he asked them to use seawater stored in his item box, remove the salt, and turn it into fresh water. The spirits immediately got to work, moving gracefully as they began the purification process. Liam was doing all this for a reason. The village was growing fast, and they needed more water to support everyone. As he watched the spirits work, one of them floated over to him. She had a familiar energy, and when she spoke, Liam remembered who she was, his first water spirit, the one who had evolved into Windine. She explained how much she had learned since evolving, though not all of it had been easy. Sometimes the spirit monarchs got irritated with her, especially because she had developed the power to possess objects, just like spirits used in weapons and armor. Liam, hearing this, felt even more excited about her growth. He decided to redo the familiar contract, giving her a new name, Zero, and making her even stronger than before. Then, summoning Genome and Salamander once again, he followed his usual method and created a brand new magical armor, this time one infused with water spirit energy. When Zero entered the armor, Liam saw the result and felt pleased, knowing the water spirit had now merged with the armor itself. Later on, Rena was shown using magic to pull a massive amount of water from deep underground. Guy and Chris helped her out, working together like a proper team. The way they moved and handled the energy around them made it obvious that they had become much stronger than before, and their teamwork was improving. Still, magical armor wasn't perfect. Using it burned through energy fast. Not long after, Chris and Guy started bickering again, each of them bragging about who would become Liam's strongest fighter. Liam stood at a distance, watching them argue and train, and deep down, he knew the armor fused with a mid-level water spirit was incredibly effective. With gear like this, they could keep the village safe no matter what came next. Meanwhile, Redden observed all of this from a quiet spot. He explained that Liam had armed 3 different races with magical battle armor, making them powerful enough to challenge entire kingdoms. But Liam wasn't focused on politics or war. He only cared about pushing himself further and helping those around him grow stronger. To Redden, Liam was more than just powerful. He was something truly unusual, someone who kept evolving no matter what. Liam had finally shown up after being missing for quite a while, and the moment Jody and Asuna saw him, both were clearly not thrilled. They were annoyed, and rightfully so, because he hadn't bothered to visit in days. Liam tried to smooth things over, saying work had kept him busy, but before things could calm down, Asuna brought up money, catching Liam off guard. Jody, keeping it blunt, reminded him it was the same money they'd handed over to him before. Later, the 3 of them stood in front of a massive pile of gold, their jaws practically hitting the floor. Liam casually mentioned that Princess Scarlet had given them the gold to keep quiet about Radon. Jody and Asuna looked at each other, a bit confused, since they never planned to spill anything in the first place. Still, Liam handed over their share, saying it was rightfully theirs. They hesitated but eventually accepted it, although they suggested Liam should hold on to it, thinking it would be safer with him. Liam nodded and said he'd take care of it, and just like that, the memory faded. It had all been a flashback from Liam's mind, as he now realized they were asking for that exact gold again. Sometime later, Jody and Asuna surprised Liam with a grimoire, bought using that same gold, since they both knew how much he loved studying magic. The moment Liam laid eyes on it, he didn't waste a second and started analyzing it like a kid with a new toy. After a while, he quietly thanked them, and their faces lit up with warm smiles. As they sat together having a meal, Liam casually mentioned he was planning to build a nation and asked if they wanted to tag along or stay here and keep hunting. Asuna didn't even think twice and said she was going with him, while Jody smiled and said they'd stick with him no matter what. Then Asuna suggested they should get moving, but Liam said he wanted to master the grimoire spell first before heading out. This surprised both girls, but Liam was already deep in focus. He began casting the spell from the grimoire, something called Dustbox, and kept repeating it over and over. Everyone around started watching in silence, and within moments he completely mastered the spell, leaving everyone stunned. It turned out the Dustbox worked like a storage space for items, but something about it felt odd. To test it, Liam placed a piece of fish inside and took it out a minute later, only to find it rotten and stinking. That's when it hit him. Whatever went inside the Dustbox aged way too fast. Although the spell seemed pretty useless at first, Liam started thinking of creative ways to make it work. Then suddenly, an idea popped into his head: alcohol. He rushed off, returned with fresh grape juice, and placed it inside the Dustbox. After a short wait, he pulled it out and discovered that it had turned into wine. Now Liam was thinking ahead. If he timed everything right, he could make tons of aged wine in no time. The next day, he explained that he had placed 1 bottle every hour into the Dustbox and labeled them all. Bottle number 9 for 9 hours, bottle 8 for 8 hours, and so on. He poured the wine into glasses, and Jody started tasting each one carefully. Watching her enjoy the drinks reminded Liam of his past life, how good it felt to unwind after a long day. But since he kept staring, Asuna noticed and, annoyed, landed a punch on him. After tasting them all, Jody pointed out that the wine aged by the hour, 1 hour inside felt like 1 year outside. That meant a 10-hour bottle was like 10-year-old wine. Liam realized that the dust box wasn't just magic storage. It was basically time travel for objects. Later on, Liam introduced Jody and Asuna to the rest of the villagers. Everyone got along quickly, and that same night the whole village held a warm welcome party for the two girls. Chris brought out the best dish from her Beowulf clan, and the smell alone made them drool. Then Guy added his traditional plate, which looked just as delicious. Finally, Raina came in with her special recipe, and even Chris and Guy couldn't hide how tempted they were. Asuna couldn't hold back anymore and dived into the food, and soon enough, everyone else joined in, laughing and enjoying every bite. Chris and Guy even swapped dishes from each other's cultures and loved them. The whole evening turned into a celebration of good food, new friendships, and loud laughter. The next morning, everyone headed into the wild to pick fruits, hoping to turn them into different types of wine. Jody and Asuna looked around, clearly amazed, as they had never seen fruits like these before. Meanwhile, Chris and Guy turned the whole thing into a race, hauling back loads of fruit and arguing over who brought more. Liam thanked them both, but in the end, it was a tie. So they decided to go again and break it. Just then, Rena reminded everyone not to strip one tree bare, otherwise, it would take ages for the fruit to grow back. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the trees. Liam ran toward it and saw a man biting a Giga's neck. Without wasting time, Liam fired off 17 power missiles, blasting the attacker away. But the man escaped before Liam could catch a proper look. The Giga who was attacked started to lose control. His name was Gon. Moments later, he snapped and lunged at Guy, completely berserk. Somehow, Guy managed to hold him down, though no one had any idea what was happening. Liam quickly cast a light spell called Clear, and slowly, the bite wound on Gon's neck started to heal. After a while, his breathing calmed, and he passed out. Liam stood there, trying to piece things together. Jody explained that the bite was from a vampire, and vampires bite people to turn them into their slaves. Once bitten, saving them was close to impossible, but Liam's light magic had somehow done the trick. Chris and Guy pointed out that it was still daytime, and vampires shouldn't be walking around because sunlight turns them to ash. Jody heard that, and quietly said this had to be the work of Dracula. Dracula wasn't just any vampire, he was a rare one, the kind that's born only once in 1,000 years, and because of him, all other vampires got stronger, and they didn't burn up in sunlight anymore, which was a real problem, especially now. Liam already knew this wasn't just some small issue. It was the kind of mess that could ruin everything if it got out of hand. Soon after, a werewolf came running like his tail was on fire, and without wasting a second, he said the vampires were just a few kilometers away, and not just a handful, they were over 10,000 strong, which left everyone stunned and stiff, like they'd swallowed a block of ice. The reason for this massive number wasn't much of a mystery though, since the vampires had been turning anything that breathed in the jungle into one of their own, biting and converting left and right. And Jody, sharp as always, guessed that a vampire army this big could only mean one thing. Their leader, Dracula, was probably already moving. Normally, vampires didn't go looking for fights, but Dracula wasn't the peaceful kind. He manipulated them, twisted their minds, and pushed them into battle, and with over 10,000 now under his control, it honestly felt hopeless. Still, Liam didn't give in. He just exhaled slow and heavy, then gave the order to warn every village nearby, telling them to stay far away from the danger. The team jumped into action right away, not wasting any time. But things just kept getting worse, because another werewolf came crashing in with even worse news. One of the villages had tried to stand up to the vampires, probably thinking they had a chance, but they got wiped out and turned too, every last one of them. What made things even scarier was what the werewolf said next. There was one vampire who didn't act like the others, one who stood still while the rest bowed before him, and that's when they all realized it was Dracula, the root of the whole problem. Unless Dracula was taken out, no other vampire could be permanently destroyed, because his power kept bringing them back, which made everyone uneasy, unsure how they were supposed to fight something like that. Still, Liam wasn't the type to sit around, so an idea sparked in his mind. Later, in a wide valley, thousands of vampires marched like a dark wave, but only 5 people stood in their way, and none of them backed down. Each of them activated their new magic battle armor, called Watered Spirit Wind Dine, and the armor clung to their bodies like second skin, glowing with power. Rena stepped up first, and without waiting, she used her waterfall magic, washing away hundreds of vampires in one go with a powerful, rushing current. Next came Chris, who blasted the ground with his explosion magic, sending thunderous blasts across the valley and turning rows of vampires to ash. Guy wasn't far behind, using earth magic to split the ground open, and those unlucky enough to fall in got crushed by collapsing rock. Ashub dashed forward like a streak of lightning, her sword slicing through one vampire after another so fast they didn't even see her coming, let alone react. Together, all 5 of them charged into the vampire army, cutting through enemies like it was nothing. But even after everything, Liam, who was watching from above, noticed something troubling. There were still thousands of vampires left, and the team was clearly starting to slow down. Seeing the danger, they decided to fall back, but right as they turned to retreat, the sky turned a deep blood red. The air grew heavy and cold, and from the center of that storm, Dracula finally appeared, floating above the army like a living nightmare, and every single vampire instantly dropped to their knees in his presence. Without wasting time, Liam teleported right in front of Dracula, and before anyone could react, the 2 of them vanished. They'd moved somewhere far away, just the 2 of them. In the new place, Liam took a breath and steadied himself, then launched 19 power missiles at Dracula in one go. But Dracula caught the entire attack with just one hand like it was nothing. In the next instant, Dracula was behind Liam and he swung, but Liam barely dodged in time and teleported into the sky. Up there, Liam unleashed 9 holy lances, a move strong enough to wipe out most enemies, but when the dust cleared, Dracula was right in front of him again, completely unharmed. Once more, Dracula teleported behind Liam and grabbed him, ready to bite, but Liam broke free by using illusion magic. Even so, Dracula cut through the illusion, turning it into a vampire as well, though before it could fully change. Liam erased it without blinking. Dracula, clearly amused, figured out that Liam was using clones. And while Liam thought about using the Guardian Radon battle armor, he also knew it would drain all his magic. So instead, he tossed a fireball at Dracula and followed up with a wild mix of spells, hoping something would stick, but none of it did. Dracula's voice turned cold as ice, and he explained that there was no point trying because he wasn't really alive anymore. His body was just a shell, feeding off the life force in the air, and no matter how many attacks Liam threw, it wouldn't make a difference, because Dracula would keep existing as long as the world itself remained. Then, Dracula charged again. Right as he moved in to bite, Liam trapped him inside the dust box, sealing him away in a space where time flowed faster. Inside the box, hours passed like years, and while only 10 hours ticked by in the real world, 10 years passed for Dracula, who slowly lost his strength until finally he slipped into suspended animation. Dracula was completely defeated, sealed away for good. Liam had won. Radon, watching from the shadows, couldn't help but feel impressed, praising Liam for ending everything with just one spell. Liam didn't say much, just smiled a little and looked up at the sky, already thinking about going back to the others. After Dracula got sealed inside the dust box, his vampire army completely lost its edge, and now they looked too weak to even stand straight, let alone fight. Meanwhile, Liam teleported back to where Asuna and Jody were waiting, and though he'd already taken care of Dracula, his focus quickly shifted when he saw the vampires nearby looking dazed and out of it, as if they didn't know what they were doing anymore. Asuna casually snapped a vampire's tooth using just 2 fingers, like it was nothing, and Liam finally got it. The vampires had lost their power because Dracula, the one who kept them going, was no longer there. But then, something strange happened. Something even worse. The vampires suddenly started groaning and clutching their bodies like something inside them was breaking. Liam and the others watched, confused and alarmed, unsure of what to do. Redden stepped in and explained the truth. It was Dracula's magic that had been keeping them alive. And now that he was gone, their connection to that power had snapped. Without it, they were slowly fading away. Liam felt uneasy hearing that, but then he remembered how he once saved Gon, who had also turned into a vampire, using his all-clear magic. That memory gave him a little hope, so he immediately started using the same magic on the vampires, managing to save quite a few of them, though it was clear he couldn't keep up. There were just too many. So he came up with a new plan, one that might work faster. He wore black Redon-like armor and cast all clear again, but this time the spell exploded with power so strong that it hit all the vampires around the entire bay at once. One by one, they all started healing, and slowly, the pain on their faces faded. Liam had done it. He had saved them all. But even victories have a cost, and all that magic drained him completely. He passed out right there, completely out of energy. Sometime later, he opened his eyes again, only to find Asuna hovering over him, clearly mad and worried at the same time, scolding him for once again pushing himself too far and forgetting about his own well-being. Liam, still a bit tired, asked what happened to the vampires who had fallen under Dracula's control. Jody pointed to the side, where Liam saw that all the monster-like vampires had returned to normal. His magic had worked better than expected, bringing even the ones who were on the brink of vanishing back to full health. Not wasting time, Liam asked for the vampires who were already vampires before Dracula's control to be brought to him. Soon, they were standing in a line, quiet and serious. Their leader stepped forward and bowed his head, taking full responsibility for everything that had happened. He said Liam could punish him if he wanted, but begged that the others be spared. Liam shook his head, telling the leader that none of it was their fault, since Dracula had been controlling them the whole time. Then he made them an offer. If they joined Blaze, they wouldn't have to hide from sunlight anymore. The vampires didn't hesitate. They immediately accepted, hope lighting up their tired faces. Liam formed familiar contracts with each of them and began giving them new names, one by one. As he did that, something incredible happened. Their bodies began to glow, and they evolved into noble vampires, the kind that could stand in sunlight without being burned. It was a new beginning for them. Liam looked at their leader and gave him the name Alucard, a name fitting for someone who had stood tall through it all. 4 days passed, and during that time, Dracula's presence completely disappeared from the dust box. Not even a trace left behind, but far away, in a hidden place, 2 figures were watching Liam through a glowing crystal ball. They had seen everything: Dracula's defeat, the vampire's transformation, and Liam's insane power. One of them looked uneasy, warning the other to keep a close eye on the boy, while also wondering what Liam really was. A hero maybe, or something darker, possibly even a demon lord. Back in the village, Liam was finally taking a breather, sitting peacefully when 2 little slimes slid up to him and handed him a small wooden doll. He picked it up, curious, and after a closer look, realized they had made it to look just like him, from the hair to the clothes. Every tiny detail carved with care. He couldn't help but smile, patting the slimes on their heads as a thank you. Not long after, the whole village buzzed with activity. Construction had kicked into high gear, and new homes were rising everywhere. Rena was walking around like a boss, making sure everything stayed on track. Guy and his group were keeping watch and handling the security side of things. Chris and the other werewolves had taken up hunting duties, using their sharp skills to keep the village well-fed and safe. Liam was standing near the construction site when Guy walked over and told him that a group of humans had arrived. They were claiming to be merchants from the Quester Kingdom, and they wanted to meet the king of this land. Liam raised an eyebrow, not really sure how to react, and said he wasn't a king. But Guy just laughed and said that since Liam owned the land and led everyone here, that already made him their king. Liam still didn't seem convinced, so Guy turned around, raised his voice, and asked the crowd if anyone had a problem with calling Liam their king. Without hesitation, the whole area echoed with cheers as everyone shouted that there was no doubt Liam was their one and only king. Liam stood still for a moment, caught off guard by their energy, and deep down he realized that maybe, just maybe, he really had become the ruler of this place. Right at that moment, the golden dragon Reden appeared in the sky and let out a mighty roar, announcing that Liam was now officially the king of the kingdom. The people erupted with joy, cheering and dancing, as if something historic had just happened, as if a brand new era had begun with Liam at the center. While the village celebrated, far away in the royal capital, Princess Scarlet contacted Liam using telepathy. Without wasting any time, Liam teleported to her location. She told him that she had been digging into the kingdom of Jamil for days, but hadn't found any strong proof of anything yet. Even though it seemed like they weren't trying to take over his kingdom, the king and his ministers were clearly hiding something. Liam turned to Raiden and asked what kind of secrets Jamil was keeping, but the dragon remained completely silent. Seeing this, Scarlet guessed that maybe it wasn't anything serious. After all, if it was something dangerous, Raiden probably would have said something by now. Liam nodded and said that it was at least good to know they weren't planning anything against them. He then asked if Scarlet was coming back with him, but she said she'd stay and keep investigating a little longer. So Liam returned to his land, still thinking about Raiden's silence. He turned to the dragon and said that he felt something wasn't right. Raiden never lied, but instead of answering his question earlier, he had stayed quiet. That silence said a lot. Raiden finally spoke and told Liam to go to the place where he had first met Guardian Raiden. Liam followed the direction without delay, and when he reached the spot, Raiden told him to pour magical energy into the area. As soon as he did, a hidden staircase slowly appeared before him, leading downward into a mysterious space. Liam stepped inside and felt something strange in the air. It was similar to the sensation he felt from his magical ring. Raiden confirmed that what he was feeling was right. This place was actually an ancient storage device, a hidden vault filled with long-forgotten and forbidden spells. Raiden told him this was just the beginning. As Liam's magical power grew, he'd be able to unlock more of the sealed spells hidden inside. Without wasting any time, Liam began storing the spells into his ring and created a clone of himself to help test and practice them. In the following scene, Liam was seen training with his clone. The clone dropped a massive rock on him, but Liam instantly used an ancient spell called Absolute Force Shield, which shattered the rock with ease. He explained that this shield could block any one physical attack, but if he were attacked from multiple directions, he would have to cast shields in different directions to stay safe. Raiden was impressed and told him that on the next level of the storage, there was another powerful spell called Absolute Magic Shield. Unlike the first one, this shield worked against magical attacks. Liam thought it sounded useful, and since it didn't require physical power, just magic, he decided to give give it a try, right then and there. He focused hard, channeled his energy, and successfully cast the absolute magic shield in just a few moments. Raiden couldn't believe what he was seeing. No one had done this kind of thing in centuries, yet Liam was mastering these ancient spells like it was second nature. Soon after, the scene shifted again. Liam was now inside his inner world, trying to extract magic energy directly from his body. Raiden, watching curiously, asked what he was up to. Liam simply smiled and said that he was training himself to sense the magic energy around him so he could dodge magical attacks without relying on spells every time. Asuna came running toward Liam, looking a little out of breath, and told him that Guy was calling him for something important. Without wasting a second, Liam teleported straight to Guy, but when he arrived, he saw a group of outsiders waiting. Guy explained that these people were messengers from the Principality of Palta and wanted to speak with Liam about something urgent. Liam agreed to meet them properly, and soon after, a man named X-Blast introduced himself. Liam listened calmly as X-Blast explained that his king had sent him with a marriage proposal. He wanted Liam to marry a woman named Lady Flora. Then, without delay, X-Blast called Lady Flora out of the carriage, and the moment she stepped out, her beauty caught everyone's attention. X-Blast, trying to be a bit bold, even suggested that Liam could hold her hand if he wished. But Liam, feeling a bit awkward, politely avoided that and instead said they should continue the discussion inside the city. X-Blast seemed to take that as a yes, which only made Liam more uncomfortable. But before things could settle, Liam suddenly sensed something off. His instincts kicked in, and he quickly activated his absolute magic shield. Right then, a massive blast of fire came flying at him. The shield held up and blocked the attack, but sadly, several people nearby got hurt in the process. Liam narrowed his eyes, trying to figure out what just happened. Raiden stepped forward and explained that the attacker was a suicide elemental, a creature created by humans that explodes upon command. If Liam had reacted a moment later, Lady Flora would have died on the spot. Then Raiden asked Liam to think carefully about who wasn't there anymore, and Liam quickly noticed that X-Blast had vanished. Both of them immediately began to suspect him. Not wasting time, Liam teleported Princess Scarlet to the scene, hoping she might recognize something or someone. He told her everything, how X-Blast came from Palta with a marriage proposal, and how the attack happened right after. Scarlet listened carefully, then told Liam she had never heard of any noblewoman named Lady Flora. Liam explained again that X-Blast said their king wanted the marriage alliance, and Scarlet's eyes narrowed. She said she knew X-Blast well. He handled secret and dirty missions for the Principality. When Liam mentioned the suicide elemental, Scarlet immediately understood the real plan. Palta had set a trap. They wanted Lady Flora to die on Liam's land so they could blame him and use her death as an excuse to start a war. Then, looking closely at Lady Flora, Scarlet recognized her. She said Flora was the illegitimate daughter of the Grand Duke, which explained why her identity had always been kept a secret. When Lady Flora finally woke up, her first words were a warning. She told them to stay away from her, afraid that being near her would only bring them harm. Liam stepped forward and calmly assured her that he could block any magical attack thrown her way. But Flora shook her head and explained that her danger wasn't just from outside. She said she was cursed, and no matter how strong Liam's magic was, the curse would take her life eventually. Liam gently took her hand and, without wasting time, used all clear magic, and luckily, it worked. The curse was gone. Flora stared at him, amazed and completely taken aback because she had always been told that this curse could never be removed. Liam calmly asked about the nature of the curse. Flora explained that it slowly turned people into monsters and made them obedient slaves to whoever placed the curse. Hearing that, Raiden added that the attackers had used a cursed item called ghoul liquid, and that detail brought Dracula's condition back to Liam's mind. Flora, still a bit lost, asked what she was supposed to do next. Liam, without hesitating, promised her safety and said she could stay with them because there was no way he was going to let anyone from Palta lay a finger on her now. Later on, Liam sat down with Scarlet to talk about everything that had happened. Scarlet pointed out that other kingdoms were starting to see Liam's kingdom as weak, so now was the time to change that image. Liam figured that meant a battle, but Scarlet said otherwise. Instead, she explained that they needed to show the value of their currency to prove their strength. She showed Liam the magical armor he had made for her and told him that its perfect craftsmanship was enough to prove his skills to the world. Then she pulled out 3 coins and laid them out in front of him. Liam picked up the coins and could immediately tell which one was original and which were copies, just by the quality. Scarlet explained that the more advanced a kingdom's technology, the better their coin copies would be, and if his kingdom could produce coins just as good as the originals, that alone would be proof of their progress and power. Not wasting time, Liam got to work. He used his magic and summoned his spirits, and together, they created pure, high-quality silver coins that looked just like the originals. Scarlet saw the finished coins and was clearly impressed. Later on, Jody and Asuna went to a merchant from the kingdom of Jamil to ask about the coin's value. The merchant praised the silver coins for their flawless quality, but when he saw the copper coins, he couldn't hide his shock. He asked about their purity, and when the girls told him they were 100% pure copper, the man was stunned again. He said that one of Liam's copper coins was worth 3 times more than a regular copper coin in Jamil. Soon after, Liam received a letter that instantly ruined his mood. Scarlett noticed something was off and asked about it. Liam handed her the letter. It was from a man named Elbrabit, who rudely demanded Liam visit him to talk about a business deal. Scarlett read it and was immediately furious. But Liam, staying calm, asked what they should do. Scarlett didn't hesitate. She tore the letter in half, saying Elbrabit wasn't even the head of the Hamilton family, so Liam didn't owe him anything. If the letter had come from someone more important, then maybe they would have considered it. Not long after, Liam's older brother Bruno arrived for a formal meeting. Bruno was completely stunned when he saw how much progress Liam's land had made. He had never expected the so-called land of monsters to be doing so well. The three of them sat down to talk. Bruno politely asked Liam if they could start trade between their families. Liam remembered how Elbrabit had spoken to him so arrogantly without any real power, while Bruno, who led a small family, had shown nothing but respect. Taking Scarlett's advice, Liam agreed and granted trade permission. Bruno thanked him sincerely before leaving. Scarlett later praised Bruno's kind and respectful nature. After everything settled, Liam went into his world dimension to train. Radon appeared and gave him a warning. One day, a powerful kingdom would come to attack, so Liam had to be ready at all times. He told Liam to stop treating magic as just a backup and start using it as a real weapon. Then, for the first time, Radon revealed his human form. Surprising Liam, it was a girl. With a calm smile, Radon told him to watch carefully and then charged her body full of magic. She used that energy to leap high into the air, performing massive jumps. She told Liam to try the same thing. Liam filled his body with magic, jumped, and while he messed up the landing a bit, he managed to stay on his feet. Next, Radon gave him some floating magic bubbles and asked him to fill them with energy. It was tough at first, but Liam focused, and soon he got the hang of it. His control over his powers got stronger, and his spell casting also improved. Watching his progress, Radon smiled with pride and, for the first time, acknowledged Liam's potential with a spark of joy in her voice. Radon had been drilling Liam for a good while, throwing every technique in the book at him to sharpen his magic game. After enough sweat and practice, she told him to let loose and fire off as many spells as he could at the same time. Liam went for it and ended up stacking multiple spells in one shot, catching even himself off guard. The raw magic power felt the same, but his output was double. Radon pointed out that he'd finally learned how to use what he had without wasting energy. Basically, his efficiency had gone from sloppy amateur hour to pro level. Later, Liam sat with the top brass of his territory to talk governance. Reyna reported the northern construction was already in motion and would wrap up soon. That was good news, but then she dropped the bigger headache. Water and salt supplies were entirely dependent on him. Asuna wanted to know where all that was coming from, and Liam casually admitted he was hauling seawater in with his item box. Jody made it clear they needed something that didn't require him babysitting the problem, and Asuna backed her up. Liam agreed to look into alternatives. After the meeting, Asuna said if they just had their own sea, the issue would vanish. Liam agreed, but Scarlett butted in, explaining that the reason this land had no sea was because of the dragon god Radon. Back in the world dimension, Liam told Radon that if they had their own sea, they could fix the problem for good. Radon told him to figure out a magic solution. Liam admitted he knew one, but reshaping such a massive area would drain way more magic than he had. When he suggested she lend him power, she shut it down, said he should solve it with what he had. He agreed to give it a shot. Not long after, Asuna was losing her mind. Before them was a vast stretch of ocean. Then, the vibe shifted. Liam spotted some guy talking to Scarlett in the distance. When the man left, Scarlett's eyes carried a sadness she couldn't hide. Liam noticed immediately and walked over, ready to find out what had just hit her. Scarlett broke the news with the kind of soft tone that made it hit harder. The IG region in the Jamil Kingdom was in the middle of a brutal drought, and that just happened to be her mother's homeland. Liam's easygoing mood flipped instantly. In his mind, there was no time to sit around. Soon, Liam was hauling serious amounts of water into massive tanks with the help of his water spirits, getting ready to ship them out. That's when Radon rolled in with the kind of tone that made you pause mid-task. She wanted to know if he was sure this was the right call. Liam didn't get what she meant at first, so she spelled it out. She dropped Albrevit's name as Exhibit A, and that connected the dots for Liam fast. When he asked if that meant the Jamil King might be cut from the same cloth, Radon pointed out that overhelping wasn't just risky, it could turn into a weapon against him. Sure enough, Scarlett came back later looking apologetic. The Jamil King had flat out refused the offer. No drama, just a polite brush-off about how they could handle it themselves. Problem was, he didn't say how, and now people in IG were fleeing the place like the ground was on fire. Radon casually tossed out the idea of making it rain. Liam's eyes lit up until she mentioned it was only possible with the highest level of holy magic. Tempting, but Liam decided to fix this his own way and shelve the weather spells for later. That's when he called in Bruno, his older brother and a noble in the Jamil kingdom. Disaster relief wasn't just good PR, it was a career boost in noble circles. Liam explained how the king had turned him down, so he wanted Bruno to take over the relief work and handle water delivery. One giant water tank later, the job was in Bruno's hands. But Radon wasn't done. She warned that some people from the Jamil kingdom were actively watching Liam, and they didn't want him anywhere near IG. Liam wasn't surprised, but it was annoying. He couldn't even teleport there without having been before. Then a trick hit him. He spun up a duplicate of himself, turned it into a familiar, and took the transformation a step further. Full-on evolution until the copy looked like a completely different person. The end result was a girl named Emilia, packing the same high-level magic game he had. If anyone asked, she was just another magic user hauling water. Before long, Emilia was on the road with a tank slung over her shoulder, heading toward drought-stricken IG, without a single pair of suspicious eyes trailing her. After Liam started printing his own money and began trading with Bruno, more and more merchants began arriving in his lands, and because of that, the whole area slowly started to feel more alive, with people walking around, deals being made, and the marketplace getting louder every day. Liam watched all this unfold and quietly hoped that if everything kept going smoothly like this, his territory might turn into a major trade hub someday. But while everything looked peaceful on the outside, spies from the Jamil kingdom hadn't stopped watching him. They didn't want Liam to get anywhere near the IG region, which was currently in the middle of a terrible drought. So, to avoid suspicion, Liam stayed in place and sent out a clone of Emilia to deliver water to the area, planning to keep the spies distracted by staying active in his own territory. Later, Liam visited Guy and his team, who were working with a lot of stone, and it was revealed that Liam had made the decision to start building real roads for his people. Using his earth spirits, he dug up the rough dirt paths, and remembering what Reedon had told him, he chose one of the 3 possible ways to build roads. Not with bricks or stone, but with a rare type of soil that melted under heat and turned rock solid when it cooled. This way, Liam could also put his magic to use. So, they gathered that special soil and filled the holes Liam had dug earlier. Once everything was in place, Liam called his fire spirits, and the spirits heated the soil until it turned into a liquid and settled down perfectly. When it finally cooled, the road became strong, solid, and smooth. Liam couldn't hide how pleased he was. The whole thing had worked better than he expected. The spies who were secretly watching everything were left in shock, since road construction like this usually took months, not days. Soon enough, every road within Liam's territory was done, but Liam didn't stop there. He ordered roads to be built outside his borders too, because carts often got stuck in potholes on those paths, and that caused delays in supplies, which was unacceptable. Work started on the outer roads, and once again, Liam and his team managed to build strong, long roads faster than anyone expected. The spies were left with their mouths hanging open, unable to figure out how Liam's people were moving this quickly. The next day, while everyone was busy with road work, Liam decided to take a little break. He tied a rope between 2 trees and tried to lie down on it. But right as he got on, he lost balance and crashed to the ground. Radon, who saw this happen, couldn't help but tease him. Liam just laughed it off and said that with Radon's training, he had learned how to charge his body with magic and balance on the rope, even while sleeping, so he could train during naps. Unfortunately for him, he ended up falling again, but after some more attempts, Liam finally managed to stay balanced. Reedon asked him if he could now sense the finer details inside magic itself. Liam stood up and nodded. Now he could feel tiny shifts and flows in magic that he couldn't sense before. Reedon went on to explain something new, that magical limits actually depended on where people were born. Each region produced people with totally different magic capacities. That got Liam thinking, and right then and there, he used magic detection, only to realize that spies from all 3 neighboring kingdoms were already hiding inside his territory. Reedon tried to keep things calm, telling Liam that while the spies were here, the good thing was, they had no idea Liam had already spotted them. Soon after, Liam met with Princess Scarlet and asked her about the military strength of the Jamil, Palta, and Quistador kingdoms. Scarlet explained that both Jamil and Palta had armies ranging between 40 to 400 soldiers, while Quistador had around 500. Liam did the math in his head and realized that even if they called every single citizen to fight, they wouldn't have more than 10,000 people, and even that wouldn't be enough, not even with their new magic battle armor. But Reedon stepped in, saying that if every soldier had one of the original magic battle armors, they might be able to match the enemy forces. Liam admitted he could create a lot of battle armor, but none as powerful as the original ones, so he had to be careful and plan each step like a game of chess. Scarlett smiled and told him to leave the foreign diplomacy to her. Later on, Liam walked into the forest, still thinking about spies and enemy troops, but then something strange happened. He suddenly sensed an odd kind of magical energy, so without wasting time, he teleported to that exact location and started digging with his earth spirits. Deep underground, he discovered something rare. High mithril, the exact metal needed to create the original powerful magic battle armor. Reeden got excited too, saying now Liam could finally equip all his soldiers with top-grade armor. Liam added that he'd go a step further and bind magic spirits into the armor to make it even stronger. Then Liam told Scarlett to spread the news to the whole world. They had found a high mithril mine. They'd be making magic armor for all their warriors, and even after that, there would still be plenty of mithril left over. In the next scene, they were busy mining huge amounts of high mithril. Liam turned to Rena and asked if most elves had started learning magic. Rena confirmed that after signing familiar contracts with him, people from almost all races had begun practicing magic, though they still lacked grimoires to help them. Liam immediately got an idea. He decided to create ancient storage devices that worked just like grimoires, allowing everyone to properly practice and understand magic. After that, he teleported Reyna back to the kingdom. Once there, using his magic spirits, he broke apart the old roads and laid down a fresh layer of high mithril underneath them, then rebuilt the roads again. Reyna was confused at first, but Liam told her to just stand on the new road. As soon as Reyna stepped on it, something strange happened. Magical energy began flowing through her body, and in an instant, she saw different magic spells appear right in front of her. Shocked but amazed, she cast an ice spell, something she didn't even know she could do. Liam explained that the road itself had become an ancient storage device. He had stored magical spells inside it using high mithril, and now, if done on a bigger scale, anyone walking on those roads would be able to use magic, any type, any element. Rena was stunned and full of praise, but Liam just nodded and said they'd have to redo all the roads to make it work across the entire kingdom. Time passed, and the roads were rebuilt from scratch. Now, people all across the territory could cast spells with ease, just by walking on the magic-infused roads. Liam then placed Rena in one corner and asked her to try something called the telephone spell. Only his familiars could use it. Rena cast the spell, and out of nowhere, a magical phone-like device appeared. She used it to talk to another elf far away, and the spell worked perfectly. After the call ended, Rena smiled and said that with a spell like this, anyone in their city could talk to someone far away. She felt their kingdom had turned into something completely unique. A city built fully on magic, unlike anything else in the world. Liam stood there smiling too, and deep inside, he thought to himself, a city powered by magic, a place where every step and every word connected with magic. Now that was something truly exciting. Liam had been teaching Lady Flora how to use magic. Since she was going to be his future wife, she had already moved into his kingdom. That day, Liam showed her a new spell and mentioned that she could now use it too. Flora was surprised. She had seen others train, but hadn't seen anyone else use that spell. Liam explained that they had recently discovered a high mithril mine. With it, he had decided to build a long, wide road made entirely of high mithril across the kingdom. Once complete, people would be able to use not only lightning magic, but also water and fire magic. Flora silently admired him for it. Liam always thought about others, so different from the selfish dukes and nobles back in the Principality of Palta. Just then, Guy contacted Liam through the telephone spell. A group of people had arrived, claiming to be dragons. The moment Flora heard the name, her face changed. Liam noticed her reaction and asked if she knew anything about them. Flora explained that the dragons were elite knights from the kingdom of Quistador, known for riding real dragons. These creatures were fiercely loyal like dogs, but just as deadly as lions. She had only heard stories, but their reputation was no joke. Wasting no time, Liam teleported to the location where the dragons had gathered. As he approached, their dragons began to panic. They growled, backed away, and acted uneasy. One of the soldiers whispered that the dragons were scared of Liam. Confused, Liam tried to figure out why. Reeden calmly explained that all beasts react this way when they sense something more powerful than themselves. The dragons weren't acting strange without reason. They were sensing a much stronger presence. At that moment, the leader of the group stepped forward. She introduced herself as Sheila, the 19th Princess of Quistador and Captain of the Dragons. She had come not as an enemy, but to challenge King Liam Hamilton to a fight. Liam didn't understand the reason for the sudden challenge. Sheila made it clear that fighting was her way of understanding people. Judging from his expression, she joked that he might be thinking about yoga as a way to connect. but she made it clear this wasn't romantic. A duel, to her, was the second best option to judge someone's worth as an ally. With the mention of an alliance, Liam agreed to the duel. The battle began in a flash. Sheila moved so fast that Liam couldn't track her. He quickly activated his barrier magic, and it blocked both her physical and magical attacks with ease, but Reeden immediately warned him to dodge. Liam teleported just in time. Reeden explained that Sheila's sword was special. It wasn't purely physical or magical, it was a hybrid of both. That made it tricky to defend against using normal means. Liam realized that brute defense wouldn't be enough. As Sheila prepared her final strike, Liam calmly closed his eyes and spread a magical mist across the area. The mist wasn't ordinary, it was laced with magical powder linked directly to his body. Whenever the mist was disturbed, he could sense it, giving him a perfect reading of her movements. Sheila was stunned. She couldn't understand how he was tracking her so precisely. Liam explained the mechanics behind the mist. Since she was the only one in the fight, the system worked perfectly. Impressed, Sheila stopped the fight and sheathed her sword. She admitted that Liam's strength was far beyond what she expected and asked to continue their discussion in a more suitable place. Liam teleported her to his mansion. Once they sat down, Sheila explained the terms of the proposed alliance. The core condition was simple. Neither kingdom would ever use military force against the other. Liam found the offer more than fair, but a small part of him remained cautious. Before he could say anything, Sheila picked up on his hesitation. She told him about an old saying in her homeland, "Never attack the dragon god." She then explained the history behind it. Long ago, the dragon god nearly destroyed their entire kingdom. That's why Quistador had sent her, the strongest dragon knight. And when she saw their dragons panic at Liam's presence, she understood. They weren't scared of Liam the man, they were scared of the dragon god's power sleeping inside him. Liam turned to Reeden for advice. Reeden simply told him to follow his heart, but Liam insisted on hearing a real opinion. Reeden replied that accepting the alliance would be the smartest move. The fewer enemies, the better. Liam agreed. The alliance was accepted. Then Sheila asked for the name of his kingdom. Liam paused. He hadn't named it yet. Right then, Reeden emerged in full form, standing beside Liam. He declared the kingdom's name himself. From that moment on, the land would be known as Liam Reeden, ruled by the human who carried the power of the dragon god. Sheila stood frozen. Seeing Reeden in person shook her to her core. Her legs trembled, and she nearly lost control. But in that instant, her respect for Liam doubled. His strength, his connection to the dragon god, it was all real. And just like that, the alliance between Liam Reeden and the kingdom of Quistador was sealed. As night fell, Princess Sheila noticed a soft glow in the distance and asked Liam where the light was coming from. Curious, she walked ahead and soon realized that the warm glow wasn't from any single source. It was coming from inside every house. Liam casually told her it was just a simple light spell. That caught Sheila off guard. She couldn't believe so many people were able to use magic like that. Liam explained that he had developed a system that allowed everyday folks in his kingdom to use certain types of magic without needing deep training. Later, Liam gave her a tour of the city. As they walked through the streets, Sheila kept glancing at the homes, watching people casually using magic in their daily lives, cooking, cleaning, lighting up their rooms. She was amazed. She asked Liam if he had used magic crystals to make all this possible. Liam looked a bit confused and admitted he had no idea what magic crystals were. Sheila explained that when people used magic, some of the unused energy would turn into magical powder. Over time, that powder would collect and form a magic crystal. To test this out, Liam casually used one of his spells, but this time something strange happened. There was no waste. Not even a flicker of magical powder came off his body. Sheila was shocked. She said it wasn't normal, and Liam explained that Reeden had trained him to use his magical energy with complete efficiency, no wastage at all. Hearing that, Sheila just stood there, completely speechless. After showing her around, Liam dropped her off at her guest lodging. Once alone, he decided to ask Reeden more about the magic crystals. Reeden told him to try casting a spell poorly on purpose, with zero efficiency. Liam did what he was told, and as he cast the spell, a huge amount of magical energy leaked out. Magical powder poured from his hands onto the ground like glittery dust. Reeden explained that if enough of that powder built up over time, it would form a magic crystal. Since the people of the city were using magic every day now, it was very likely that some crystals had already started forming naturally. Liam then used a magic detection spell to search for nearby magical energy. He picked up on something faint and rushed toward it. At the spot, He found a small, glowing magic crystal. Raiden told him it wasn't all that special since the magic inside would fade with time. Liam looked a little disappointed, but Raiden added that these crystals were still super valuable as jewelry, worth more than diamonds. That flipped a switch in Liam's head. He realized they could use these magic crystals to solve a bunch of economic problems in the kingdom. Wasting no time, Liam called Bruno to meet him. He showed him a handful of the crystals and said he wanted to start a business together. Bruno, clearly impressed, agreed right away. Bruno also mentioned something interesting, that older crystals were worth even more. Liam decided to test that out. He dropped one crystal into his dust box, a special device where 1 hour inside equaled 1 year. After about 3 weeks, 504 hours in dust box time, he pulled the crystal out. It had shrunk a little, but now looked stunning, glowing with a rare, refined beauty. Later, to build stronger ties with the kingdom of Quistador, Liam sent that very crystal to their king through Reyna. When the king received it, he called in a magical expert to examine it. The expert studied the crystal carefully and estimated that it was between 450 and 500 years old. The king and his entire family were left speechless. They realized how priceless the gift was and what it said about Liam's power and influence. The story then shifted to a strategy meeting. Liam sat with Princess Scarlet, Lady Flora, and Elgard to talk about what came next. They agreed to handle the kingdom's responsibilities for now. Liam, however, had to move forward with his journey alongside the dragon god. The final scene of the season showed Liam training hard under Groan's guidance, facing new challenges, sharpening his skills, and preparing for whatever was coming next. And with that, not just the episode, but the entire season came to an end.